That's very nice. Everybody, welcome. And today we're going to be counting the steps to Mount Sinai. Okay, and first of all, we're going to start off by looking at where the idea of the Omer comes from and why we're going to be learning it today. I think I've got one of my sources after all of that. Never mind. So we shall do that in a moment. Now, I need to do share screen. And I'm not so great on this, but we shall manage. Show all windows. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Yeah, there was one page I forgot to get up on the screen. Never mind. Now let's get rid of this so we can actually see something. Right, here we go. So before we begin, we ought to say our prayer. How do I do that? I'm sorry, I'm not so good on
Well, we can see the screen you're sharing.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So listen, I'll just say a prayer off by heart and that will have to... Oh, Susan, have you got the prayer handy?
You want for the Sfirat Omer?
No, not for Sfirat Omer, for saying a prayer before we study the Kabbalah. There's a lovely prayer from the Ari, and I usually have it, and I just can't figure out how to find it. Oh, I know how to do it. Sorry. File, recent. There we go. Found it. All right. Okay, let's start off with that. ריבון העולמים ואדוני אדונים, אב הרחמן והסליחות, מודים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, בקידה ובשתך הוויה, שקרבתנו לתורתך ולעבודתך עבודת הקודש, ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה, מה אנו ומחיינו, אשר עשית עמנו חסד גדול כזה. על כן אנחנו מפילים תחנוננו לפניך, שתמחול ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו, בל יהיו עוונותינו מבדילים בינינו לביניך, וכן יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, שתכונן את לבבנו ליראתך ולבבך, תקשיב אוזניך לדברינו אלה, ותפתח לבבנו הערל בסודות תורתך, ויהיה לימודנו זה נחת רוח לפני כסי כבודך כרך ניחוח, תציל עלינו, אור מקור נשמתנו בכל בחינתנו, שיתנוצצו ניצוצות עבדיך הקדושים, אשר על ידם גילית את דבריך אלה בעולם, וזכותם, וזכות אבותם, וזכות תורתם וצמינותם וקדושתם, יעמוד לנו לבל נקשר בדברים אלו. ובזכותם תהיה עינינו במה שאנו לומדים, כמו מנעים זמירות ישראל, גל עיני והביט הנפלאות מתורתך, כי אדוני תן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה, יהיו לו רצונים מפי, וגאון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Master of the universe and Lord of lords, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we give thanks before you, O Lord, our God and God of our fathers, in bowing our head and prostrating ourselves, that you brought us close to your Torah and to your service, the holiest of services. And you've given to us a portion of the inner meanings of your holy Torah. What are we and what is our life, that you've dealt with us with such a great kindness as this? Therefore we lay our supplication before you, that you pardon and forgive all our sins and iniquities, and do not let our iniquities separate us from you. And may it be your will, O Lord, our God and God of our fathers, that you prepare our hearts to have reverence of you and love of you. And may your ears listen to these our words. Open our uncircumcised heart into the inner meanings of your Torah. And may this our learning rise up as a sweet-smelling fragrance before the throne of your glory. And may you bestow upon us the light of the source of our soul in all its aspects. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through whom you revealed these your words, shine forth into the world. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers, the merit of their Torah, their wholeness and holiness, stand by us, that we do not stumble in these words. And through their merit, enlighten our eyes as we are learning, like the sweet singer of Israel said, open my eyes and I will look on the wonders from your Torah. For the Lord gives wisdom from his mouth, knowledge and understanding. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be ever acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. That's a tefillah, that's a prayer that was composed by the Ari, which we say before we learn from the innermost aspect of the Torah. Okay? And that sort of gets us in the right frame of mind, the right approach. Okay? Now, I want to go to, right, there we go. I'm getting it. Getting zoomed slowly. All right, now, but first of all, before we begin, we're looking at the Omer. We're actually going to look at the Torah. Where does it talk about the Omer? And what does it say there? Vaydaber Hashem, it's in Vayikra Kaf Gimel. Vaydaber Hashem o Moshe Leimor. Oh, what's going on here? Right. Vaydaber Hashem o Moshe Leimor. And God spoke to Moses saying, Daber b'nei Yisrael v'amart aleihim ki tavo el ha'aretz asher ani noten lachem u'ktzartem et ktzira v'haveitem et omer reshit ktzirchem el hakohen. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come to the land which I'm giving you, and you harvest the harvest, and you bring the first sheaf, the Omer is actually the bound sheaf, okay, of your harvest, you bring it to the Kohen. V'nifet Omer, and he's going to wave the sheaf, Lifnei Hashem li'utzonechem, and he's going to take that sheaf and actually literally wave it up and down before the Lord for your acceptance. Mimochrat Shabbat, on the day following. Now the Shabbat here means the first day of Pesach, okay, not Shabbos as at the end of the week, but the first day of the day after the first day of Pesach, so it'd be the second day of Pesach, okay. In Chutz La'aretz, that would be on the second Yom Tov. In Israel, it's the first day of Chol HaMoed, okay, and the priest will wave it, okay. Now this waving is important, as we're going to learn in the Zohar. All right. Usfartim lachem, and then the next few verses, which I didn't put up here, are just sort of various details about the other aspects of the sacrifice that were offered at the time, that, you know, lambs and meal offerings and things like that. Okay? And then usfartim lachem, and you shall count for yourself mimochrat Shabbat, from the day following in this case, the Pesach, the first day of Pesach, from the day on which you bring this sheaf of waving, 7 perfect weeks. Shabbat, from the following, so you're going to start off from that second day of Pesach, okay, till you get to the following day of the 7th week, which will be the 50th day, Tisbu Hamishim Yom. You're going to count 50 days. And then you're going to offer up a new meal offering, Lashem, to the Lord. Now, one of the extraordinary things that we learn from this is that this new meal offering here is actually the meal offering that we offer up on Shavuot. And what we see from this is that all the other Chagim, all the other festivals that we have in the Torah are given a date. Okay? We're told which day we're going to have Seder night. All right? It's the night of the 15th of Nisan. We know the date of Rosh Hashanah. It's the first day of Tishri. We know the date of Yom Kippur, the 10th day of Tishri. We know the date of Sukkot. But in the Torah is not mentioned the day of Shavuot. We're not told which date it is. In fact, we fix the date of Shavuot because we count 50 days from Pesach. When we've done 50 days, that's the day of Shavuot. In other words, it's our counting, it's our work which brings us to Shavuot. It's not a given from above, it's what we have to do from below. Do you see the point? That's a really interesting fact. It means that according to our counting, that's when the Shavuot, and what's Shavuot, of course? The time of the receiving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. It's really amazing, isn't it? So there's a big hint in there, isn't there? That it's our work that takes us to Mount Sinai. Okay? Great. Anybody want to comment on the chat? Anything? No. I don't know how to do. Oh, you do stop share at this point, I suppose. Well, never mind. Do I do stop share to see the chat? I don't know how you do this.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
probably
I
hit the
see.
spots.
Ah, there isn't any. Okay, so we can carry on. Great. Oh, now I've lost it. This is crazy. Here we go.
And if anybody wants to speak ever, I could see it in the chat and I'll unmute you. We'll work into it.
All right. From Susan, what does that work entail? Right. Well, that's the focus of the whole thing. Exactly. Great question. Terrific. All right. What does the focus entail? Now, in order to understand what this work entails, all right, we're going to have, first of all, a look at what the Omer was. All right. What did they actually do? All right. And this is the actual piece here. It's actually, I took this, the messages of the Beit Din would go out on the evening of Yom Tov. Now that would be on the 14th of Nisan, before Yom Tov came in, before Pesach came in. And they'd go to an area and close to Jerusalem where they grew the barley, yeah, and it was a barley harvest. And they would make the sheaves into bundles, all right, but they'd still be attached to the ground so that it would be easy to cut. And then the time of the harvesting was actually on the evening of the 16th of Nisan. So you've got the 15th of Nisan is Seder night, and the 16th of Nisan is when they would actually go out in the night and cut it. Like the first opportunity they would cut the Omer, okay? And they would harvest 3 se'im. A se'ah is apparently a volume of barley, and they would do it with 3 people with 3 scythes into 3 boxes. All right, they bring or 3, baskets or something, and they would harvest it while it was still, green, while it was still good, not all dried up. But even if it was dried up, it was still kosher. And this is the actual description in the Mishnah. Ketzad hayosim. How did they do it? Shluchei Beit Din yotzim me'erev Yom Tov, v'osim oto krichot b'machaber lekarka, k'dei she'yeh noach liktzon. Exactly what they said. We said the messengers Beit Din would go out from the evening of Yom Tov, and they would make bundles on the ground. And I've got a picture of that somewhere. Here we are. You see these nice picture of bundles, how they would bundle up the barley. Okay, make a bundle, tie it with a ribbon, and so it's easy to cut. And here's a nice picture of men going out into the fields to cut the Omer. When the pioneers of Eretz Yisrael came back to the country after we've been driven out 2,000 years previously, the kibbutzim wanted to revive the mitzvot which were connected with agriculture, even if it wasn't possible to offer them up in the temple. So here we have men going out into the fields with their scythes to harvest the Omer. It's very beautiful. Okay, and when they've done that, that's right. Here we go. Yeah, they would make bundles of it, when it was still fixed to the ground, so to be easy to harvest. And then all the various suburbs, all the people around would all come along, so it would be A lot of people would come to witness this. Kevan sheheshcha, as soon as it got dark, Omer lehen, he would say to them, Ba hashemesh omim hen. Has the sun set? They would all answer yes. Has the sun set? They'd all answer yes. With this side? Yes. With this side? Yes. With this box? Yes. With this box? Yes. And for every single thing, they would say yes, yes, yes. Should I harvest? Yes. Should I harvest? Yes. And they would everything would be yes, yes, yes. They could all be with a tremendous joy, and they would bring it then to the Beit HaMikdash. And I've got a picture. It's not very clear, but I don't know if you can see it. This is a sort of a picture of how they would bring it to the Beit HaMikdash, and there's the priest with the Omer sheaf on his shoulder, and he would take it, and this is a crucial bit, and he would wave it right up in the air and bring it down. Now, why on earth is that important? Okay, and what is all this about? All right, what possible meaning does this have? Why should we take a barley sheaf, all right, and we should take it and wave it up in the air, all right, and bring it down? What does it mean? Okay, now of course, in order to answer the question of what does it mean, we need to go to the Zohar. Now, unfortunately, I completely forgot to get that on my screen, that particular source. So you just have to bear with me a minute. It's on my computer. It won't take me a second.
No problem.
Bless you. Yeah.
Do you have a question on what they were harvesting?
Yeah, but I just found it. It was wheat, right? And then
No, barley.
Oh, it was barley they were harvesting?
That's right. It was barley.
On Shavuot?
No, Shavuot. No, not for Shavuot. This is the day after Pesach. On Shavuot, they harvest wheat.
Okay.
And on Pesach, they harvested barley. Now, that's a very, very, very good question. Here we go. Emor. That's the one we need. And it is somewhere along here. I think that's the one. I'll go away. Let me just check it so if that's the right one. There's a few here on the, it might be this one. I have to find it. Nope. That should be the first one. Okay, I'll just look in my book. Sorry, everybody, I completely forgot. My mind must have been elsewhere. It's in Emor. Yes, got it. All right. So it's Kuf Mem Vav is what I want. Okay. So it was this one. That's it. We're there. All right. Yes, exactly. Oh, that's the one. There we go. Perfect. Now, questions. What is this work about? That was Susan's question. How do we get through our work to Shavuot? Why barley? Okay. Why did the priest have to wave it? All right. What is the connection between a barley harvest and counting 50 days to get to Shavuot? Okay. There's a lot of questions here, don't you think? I mean, when you think about it, it's a very strange request, isn't it? So, I mean, I think it is. So, you know, on Seder night, we've just had Seder night, we've all come out of Egypt, all right? Great deliverance. And the first thing you have to do is go mess about with the barley harvest. What is it for? Okay? So these are all the questions that we're asking, and that Zohar gives us the answers. All right? It's absolutely amazing how the Zohar, the Pnimiut of the Torah, gives us the answers to these, to why we do the mitzvot and what they're about. Okay. And then we're also going to find out what this has got to do with us today. It looks like some ancient custom, all right? But it isn't an ancient custom. It's to do with who we are today. So here we're going to go. All right. Ubiyam HaBikurim, and on the day of the first fruits, now that is Shavuot, okay? Ba'akrivachem mincha hadashah, when you offer up a new offering to the Lord, b'shvuotechem, on your festival of Shavuot, mikra kodesh yeh lachem, it will be a solemn assembly to the Lord for you, okay? Rabbi Shimon Patach. Rabbi Shimon, that's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the one who brought down the Zohar. Az yonanu atzeh haya'ar milifnei Hashem. Then all the trees of the forest will jubilate before the Lord. Ki va lishpot et haaretz, because he has come to judge the Aretz. The Aretz, the land, is our desire. Okay, what are we really looking for? What is the desire of our soul? Zaka achul kehon. Happy is our portion. De'inon demishtadlei b'oraita. For those who try to understand something in Torah, who try to make an effort in Torah, Yamama v'layla, both at times when God is, when we can experience something of the light of God, and at the night when God's light is hidden from us. Nevertheless, we keep trying. Yeda'in orchei dekodesh baruch hu, who get to know the ways of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, v'itachdan b'shmei, and unite in his name. Now, what does that mean? It means that everything that happens comes from God. And we have times when it's day, which means times when God's light is shining for us. We feel good, we feel connected, we feel this is what we're meant to be doing. And there are times when, quite honestly, we've lost it. And we all have times like that. Okay, the day and the night. They're called day in Kabbalah and night in Kabbalah. Okay, and the night is when God's light is hidden from us. Nevertheless, we need to unite God's name. In other words, say that both times come from God, and therefore they are both ultimately good. Woe to those who do not try in Torah, because they do not have a portion in God's holy name and cannot unite with him. Lo b'hai olma, not in this world. V'lo ba'alma da'ati, not in the world to come. Now, what does that mean? It sounds a bit negative, you know? Well, only those who, sit and learn Torah can get redeemed or something. No, it's not what it means. What it means, though, is that there's parts of ourselves. If you put all of that in one person, okay, we have parts of ourselves which are uniting with Torah. We've got other parts of ourselves which are rather immature, and they're still stuck in, their egoism and our selfish love, and don't want to unite with Torah, okay? So that what it's really talking about is those aspects all within ourselves, okay? It's not talking about anybody else, it's talking about us, okay? So those aspects which are trying in Torah, those are able to unite with God. Those aspects of ourselves which are, quite frankly, still stuck in our selfish love, our selfish egoism, are not trying to Torah. And those are parts which are going to find it difficult to connect with. Okay, never mind, we still try. Man de zaki b'hai olma, zaki b'holma da'ati. Those who manage in this world also manage in the next world. Da'hechi taninan, as it said, dovev siftei shanim. He encourages the lips of those who sleep. Even people, even ourselves, when we get a little bit unconscious, but we've made that effort in Torah, we can somehow, that is going on unconsciously as well, and the lips whisper the Torah. Very nice. That's all very encouraging. Tahazi, come and see. Ad hashta, akriv Yisrael tuvat haaretz. Tuvat haaretz. Now, tuvat haaretz. Oh, I see. It goes down here. Vadai. Vid asku be vid kashru b'hu kashura. V'afal gav de dina ishtakach, dina b'shlem ishtakach be, v'akrivu se'orim. Begin to ihud kadma mikol sha'al tu'ah. Min kadma mitkarva, v'lo mahu demit achar, da'achidu kadma'a, disol itachadu be b'kodesh baruch hu, hachahu. Amar kodesh baruch hu, ana yahivet lechu min man b'midbara, mu'ata dikrei shamayim, dichtiv hineni mamti lachem lechem min hashamayim, va'atun makrivin kamei se'orim. That was the Aramaic, okay? Now we're just going to read it. I'll just read it and I'll just tell you what it says in English, okay? Don't worry about it. Come and see. Up till now, which was on Pesach, Israel, so on Pesach, Israel brings off an offering of the produce of the land. So we said that the Omer offering was brought on the second day of Pesach. So on Pesach, they're bringing the offering of the land, which is the Omer. And that is the first produce of the land. Because Pesach happens in the spring. So the first grain that ripens is the barley. Okay? And the land is the illumination of the Malchut. And the Malchut has many explanations, many meanings, but in general, we can say it is the Shekhinah. It is the indwelling presence of God within every single one of us, and all the souls together make up the Shekhinah, make up the Malchut, and that is called Eretz. Okay? So the first produce of the land is what we're talking about, the first produce of the soul. Okay? Now, everything that is spiritual is reflected, not the other way around. Everything that is in this world has a spiritual root. Okay? So when we're going out there and we're tying the Omer, we're getting those sheaf all together, okay? And we're dealing with the Omer, we're wakening up the spiritual root above. Okay, there's a total connection between our actions here on the physical to the work above in the spiritual worlds. All right? So, Nitas Skubo, they went out and they dealt with it. When Titkashur Bakesho, they tied it with this knot. Okay? All right, so they're making a knot. Just they made that physical knot, there's a spiritual connection happening. So that actual tying was important. All right? Va'afa pishu nimtza din. Now, even though there was din there, a rule that you're not allowed to receive yourself alone, okay? There was the din was happening at this time of the Egyptians, okay, that they were going to be drowned in the Red Sea, okay? There was all sorts of judgments going on in this period. Nevertheless, this din, this rule, is there in a whole way, in a peaceful way. It's in a balanced way, okay? It's in a good way. And they offered up barley because it is the first of all the other produce. And we offer up the first, and not from those which are later. for the first connection of Israel that Israel has is to be connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is where, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I am giving to you manna in the wilderness from the conscious place which is called Shamayim, which is called heaven, but in fact it means the world of Yetzirah, which is Rampin. And it's written, and I will cause to rain to you bread from the heaven. And you are going to offer up to me the barley, which is the aspect of the Shekhinah. Okay? All right. Now we're going to, well, that's all very well, but we still don't quite know. We know barley now because it's the first of the produce. We know it's got something to do with the Shekhinah. Okay? And that's as we offer up this barley thing, we're offering, we're making a connection with the higher root above. Okay? But it's not very clear, in my view. All right? And Rabbi Ashlag obviously thought so as well, because now Rabbi Ashlag is going to explain what all this is about.
Hey,
Okay?
Yedida.
Huh?
Hey, Yedida, I just have a question for you. Where are you reading this from?
Oh, sorry, didn't I say? I probably didn't. Sorry, I apologize. This is the actual Zohar. This is
Okay.
the actual Zohar, and this is from the Parsha Emor, which is the Parshat of the Shavua, which deals with all the festivals. And it's in the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. It's the same Parsha where we read the piece, from the Torah, which we read at the beginning of the Shiur. This is actually the Zohar. I should have said, I apologize. This
It's okay.
is,
You
yeah.
can put it on the screen or not.
yeah, this is the Zohar itself at the top. And this is the Rabbi Ashlag's commentary, the Sulam, here underneath. Okay?
I have a question too.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so even in biblical days, some people weren't farmers, right? Some were craftsmen or merchants, shipbuilders, whatever, Zebulun and his partner. Anyway, how did they tie the barley, or did they purchase barley and then tie it, or did it only apply to those who were farmers?
It was, as far as I understand it, it was a offering made on behalf of the whole of Israel. So it wouldn't be the individual farmers who would need to do it. It would be a farmer who was appointed from the Sanhedrin, who sat in the temple, and they would appoint somebody on their behalf to go out and harvest the Omer. So you would only have to have one a messenger, to do it. Or actually, they did it three together. But it didn't have to be everybody. It was three. It was three. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Could you put what you're reading up on the screen? I apologize. That was Zohar. Oh. You can't see the Zohar?
No, what we're seeing right now is those images of
Oh no.
it's like-
This is why oh dear, I'm not so good. I did all that and I didn't know you couldn't see it. I apologize.
okay, I didn't want to interrupt you. There we go. Now we can see it.
Oh dear. I'm awfully sorry. I'm not as good at Zoom as I am. I prefer Skype, in fact. It's much easier.
I'm also figuring Zoom out.
I apologize. Oh dear. And you see, you can't do in Zoom on Skype. You can actually do these things simultaneously, and I can see the chat and I can have stuff on my screen, and it's just so much easier. Oh dear. Sorry, you must have been so bored, everybody. Apologize. There was any more chat there?
We certainly weren't bored. You read it very nicely.
Yes,
Oh.
you did.
All right, thanks. Oh dear. I'll get it eventually. Right. Okay. Explanation. Here we go. So we've got the barley. Okay. The messengers from the temple have gone out on the behalf of the whole of Israel, on behalf of the Shekhinah.
Oh, shit.
Can you hear? All right. I'm unmuted by my host. That's lucky. Okay. So he's gone out and he's going to do the barley harvest on behalf of everybody. We still don't really understand what is the connection between the barley harvest of then and counting those 50 days, and the connection between Pesach and Shavuot. Okay? Right. Bior Hadvarim. Explanation. Afal pi shebelel Pesach היה מלכות בזיווג פנים בפנים עם זרמפין בתכלית הגדלות, הרי היה מבחינת התערותא דלעילא בלבד. Even though on Seder night, the Malchut is absolutely face to face, absolutely receiving the light of God directly on Seder night, in the absolute a greatness of Seder night, okay? I mean, we learned about it beforehand. We've had Seder night. I hope your Seder nights was as phenomenal as mine was. I mean, with the 4 cups of wine, the Seder plate. It was just, Hallel. I mean, it was unbelievable. So where we had the great light of deliverance when God took us out of Egypt, okay, took us out of our egoism, took us out of our Pharaoh inside of ourselves, delivered us, unbelievable, okay? And that great night of Seder night came down. However, it was only from the aspect of God's light pouring down alone, okay? In other words, he took us out of Egypt whether we deserved it or not. In actual fact, the sages tell us that when the children of Israel were in Egypt, they'd sunk down to the 49th level of uncleanness. Okay? All right? Never mind. In order to take Israel out of Egypt, God just took them in the elevator. They were 49 levels down and he went right up to the top with them. Okay? Because they were so low down, in fact, they'd gone right down into idol worship, into assimilation, okay? That God said, I've just got to take you out before you all get so stuck there in Egypt. And I can take it as a historical thing, but we can also take it for ourselves, all right? That we get the merit of Leila Seder, of this tremendous deliverance from our egoism for that night, okay? And we can be all up there, no matter who we are, where we are. It doesn't matter whether we are good or bad, whatever nonsense we get ourselves stuck in, God takes us out of that on Seder night. But because he takes us out, he does it. This light, this great light, cannot stay with us. Why? Because in order to receive a light, we have to have the appropriate vessel for it. All right? After the Seder night, the Malchut goes back to its more ordinary consciousness. Okay? I don't know about you, but you could all feel a bit flat after Seder night. That's a real feeling. It's not imaginary. It's because we cannot maintain that huge level of light coming into us all the time because we don't have the vessels right. Now, what is the vessels? The vessels is that God is all giving unconditionally. And for us to be in affinity of form with him, in order to receive the great light of the Torah, his great light of goodness, we need to have those vessels. Okay? Kedei livnota, so why does God, the Malchut, the Shekhinah, goes back to its ordinary consciousness, but it's on purpose, in order to build her up, but this time from awakening of below, that we do our work, all right? This time, we do our own work, Al Yedei Yisrael, by the part of Israel inside of us, through that aspect inside of us that wants to go to connect with God. That's what we need to work on in these days, okay? So this is what we need to work on. We need to connect with that part of ourselves which wants to go to God, which wants to go straight to God, okay? And allow it to build slowly from day to day the vessels which will bring us to Mount Sinai on the 50th day, which is the day of receiving the Torah. Okay. Now, how are we going to do this? Susan asked right at the beginning, how are we going to do this work? We get a big hint from the Omer. Mitoch shemalchut hi be'ikar b'fchinat kav small. The Malchut, the soul, us, not just the soul, but our whole being of the Malchut, we come from the Malchut. The Malchut's got both the soul, which is the Shekhinah, but it's also the aspect of the guf, of our personality, of our being in this world. All of that has the essence of the will to receive. There's a part of ourselves which wants to receive physical necessities, physical comforts, and there's parts of ourselves which wants to receive spiritual comforts, and then there's the part of ourselves which wants to be in affinity form with God and wants to be giving. So we've got different aspects, all make up the Malchut. So because we're from the aspect of receiving, that's our nature, that is where we come from, that's our will to receive. And therefore, mitzvah rishonah, the first place to begin is hakravat minchat Omer, offering up the Omer offering. Minchat se'orim, which is the meal offering of the barley. Okay? Now, what has that got to do with it? It's going to tell us. Minchat se'orim, the meal offering of the barley, is when the Malchut is only on the receiving side without wanting to give anything. Okay? Which is dinim, which is, that causes, when we only want to receive and we don't want to give anything, that's what causes the judgments and the suffering and the problems in the world, when our ego aspect overcomes us, overtakes us, okay? And we get involved only with the ego. And this is called the animal aspect of ourselves. So the animal aspect of ourselves, okay, is what we need to we need to start by offering that up. Letting go of the animal aspect of ourselves. That's where we need to begin. So what is the barley? The barley is ma'achal behema. It is the food for the animal. It's the stuff which feeds our animal aspects. All right? And the behemot, our animal aspects, come from our aspect of receiving, our desires to receive. We've all got them, desires to receive physical comforts of all sorts, intellectual, stimulation, entertainment, you name it, we've all got them, okay? All the different aspects of our wills to receive, which we all have in common with the animal. So it's called the animal side, okay? So the place to begin, he says, is by offering up the barley. And we said everything has a spiritual root. So the root of barley is the food for the animal, the food for our will to receive. That's the place to begin. In fact, there's another place in the Gemara which states that before we pray to bring Torah inside of ourselves, we need to first of all pray not to bring all the stuff of the physical world, which is overdone, the luxuries, not to bring luxuries inside ourselves. Okay, what we need to survive, what we need to grow, what we need for our daily life, of course we need. That's not encountered. That's not behemoth. Behemoth is when we go overboard, all right? When we get sunk into the too much into materialism. What we need to live, it does not count as behemoth. We're physical beings in a physical planet, and we definitely need to earn our livings and, lead a reasonable life. But when we go into, thinking that too much about that stuff, that's behemoth. So that's what we need to offer up, the se'orim within ourselves, that the food for the beast. Ela besod Omer hatnufa. So how do we offer it? We take the sheaf and we wave it. And what does that mean? That we wave it from below to above. In other words, we're taking it and raising it up. We're purifying it, okay? We're raising it up from its lowly level and purifying it to God and saying, God, I give up my behemoth so that we can transform its use and use it for good and not just for my own selfishness alone. So the meaning of the tnufa, it's called Omer HaTnufa, the sheaf of the waving, was in order to elevate that and use it from the negative to the positive, okay? Which means that we raise up its light from below to above. And therefore, al yedei sfirat ha'omer, by counting the days of the Omer, we can now draw towards ourselves 7 sfirot. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut, which have come from the higher level, from the world of Yetzirah. Now, you know that we count 49 days, all right? And 49 days is 7 weeks times 7, okay? So 1 week for each Sfirah. So you've got Chesed is the first week. We're in the second week now, which is Gevura. Then you've got the third week is Tiferet. The fourth week is Netzach. Fifth week is Hod. Fifth week is Yesod. The last week, have I counted that wrong somehow? Missed something out? I don't know. Got to end up with 7. Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. Well, there's 7 there. Must have said something wrong. Okay, Malchut is the 7th week. All right, so you've got 1 Sfirah a week. But each Sfirah itself is all made up of 7. So you've got 7 days, which is also each day is Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. Okay, so you've got 7 times 7. And by doing that, we actually attain a higher level of light, actually even than we had on Leila Seder. Okay? Isn't that phenomenal? All right? And we come to a light of God where we're able to receive the light of God on the 50th day, which is Chag HaShavuot. Okay? Now, Zippy asked a very important question earlier. She said, was it that everybody had to take the Omer for themselves, or how did it work? Because not everybody was farmers, all right? And we answered that the Beit Din would take send out messengers and the Omer, and would do the Omer on behalf of everybody. Okay? Now, when we look at ourselves as individuals, we look at this and we say, I can't possibly do, correct all those vessels, to get to the 50th day and be like, this very high level on Mount Sinai, on the 50th day on Shavuot. But together we can. If everybody does a little bit, together we can do it. Okay? Kol Yisrael arevim zeh lezeh. So we all take part in the counting of the Omer. Okay? And every little bit that somebody's able to do adds in. All right? Because we're talking about the community together. We're talking about the whole. As it says, when we get to Shavuot, Vayichan ha'am Bashem, Vayichan ha'am mulaha, and the people encamped as the singular opposite the mountain. And Rashi says, Ke'ish echad belev echad, as one man with one heart. So if everybody do just a little bit, okay, then we can get there. All right? So on the 50th day, which is the Chag of Shavuot, when we get to Shavuot, we come to the new meal offering, which is the meal offering of the wheat, okay? And that's, why wheat? Because that's called Ma'achal Adam, okay? The wheat is called the food for the human being. What is Adam? Adam means Adameh le'elyon. I want to be like God. I want to be not in power or anything like that, but I want to be in his goodness. I want to be good like God is good. I want to be able to be giving unconditionally like God is giving unconditionally. I want to be merciful and compassionate just like God is merciful and compassionate. Shusod mincha hadasha, which is the inner meaning of a new mincha, where all 49 of its sfirot have been renewed through our work of Zerampin, through our work. Now, the question is, again, to go back to this idea, that this question that Susan asked right at the beginning, how do we do it? Okay? If we look at the Sfirot, Rabbi Ashlag, I've got it here on my computer to share with you, but Rabbi Ashlag points out that we can't actually experience the lights of the Sfirot unless we are very, very, very purified human beings. Now, there have been people like that. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, one of them. I mean, clearly able to tell what the spiritual root and the Sfirah which belongs to barley harvest or wheat harvest. Rabbi Ashlag, okay? But for ordinary people, okay, it's very, how do we know what Chesed is? How do we know what Gvura is? How do we know what all these different Sfirot actually feel like? Okay? They are divided primarily into giving and receiving. Okay? Those on the right-hand side, what's called the right-hand line, are the sfirot of giving. Those which are on the left-hand line are the sfirot of receiving. And there are those which are balanced in the middle line. But you can't get to the balance in the middle line without first doing the right-hand side and the left-hand side. The right-hand side is the line of faith, of the line of giving unconditionally, of the line of wanting to connect with God even when we can't see or experience his light. Okay? The line of the left-hand side is seeing truth, where we are in our work, understanding how far away we are, not being afraid to face up to the truth, and then praying to God to help us do better. So if we can't experience these individual sfirot, which for the vast majority of us we cannot, okay, but we can experience the two lines. We can work on one aspect of ourselves, which is giving, and we can refrain from one aspect of ourselves, which is wants to receive. We can work on our faith and wanting to connect with God, and believing that he is good and does good. And we can work on praying to God to help us, seeing the truth about ourselves and without being afraid, and praying to God to help us. And by working on those two lines, we are working on those sfirot, because the two lines are made up of the sfirot. Okay? And that way, if everybody does something, we will get there together as a community. All right? And that's what counts. And then when we get to Shavuot together as a community, we offer up the wheat harvest, okay, which will be connecting with God in a sense as the bride who joins with her husband. And that is another, in a relationship, which we will be talking about next week. Okay? Oh no, next week I think is Yom Ha'atzmaut, so we'll probably talk about that first, and then the following week we'll talk about the actual connection, the consciousness with Shavuot. Okay? Right, now we're nearly out of time. My goodness, I was doing all that talking. Let's do that stop share and let's go to the chat.